Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Joan Vassos explains how she changed the Golden Bachelorette fantasy suites and why Joan Vassos is doing the Golden Bachelorette her way. Yes, it's the first season of the show, and that means she can carve out her own path in many ways. But because the senior spin-off mimics other Bachelor Nation shows, namely The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, there are certain things we've come to expect. But Joan isn't worried about what we expect. Instead, she's set out on a search for love her way, and she's making sure that she keeps her dignity intact while she makes her way through 24 senior men who all want a chance at being her fiancé. That's why she made a big change for Fantasy Suites, and even though we're weeks away from seeing it, she's opened up about what she did and why she did it. Joan Vassos didn't remove Fantasy Suites, but she did remove a key component. Joan has been heavily promoting her new season of The Golden Bachelorette, which means she's sharing some details about what happened during filming. While speaking with Parade magazine, Joan revealed the huge change she made to Fantasy Suites, and it'll ensure that there's no hanky-panky when cameras stop rolling. I saw value in having a fantasy suite. You really do need to have those off-camera conversations, but I just took sex off the table, Joan explained. She continued, I decided almost even before I went on the Golden Bachelorette that fantasy suites needed to be like my own personal version of them, that I didn't feel comfortable having a physical relationship with more than one person, and so my fantasy suites were really more about emotional intimacy than physical. What does that mean for Joan's version of Fantasy Suites? Well, there will be no bed, according to the newest senior Bachelor Nation star. That means she'll get to spend some time with her final pick sans cameras, but it's not clear for how long, as they'll have to get some rest in order to continue on the journey. This unprecedented move should be interesting. Joan Vassos will get a visit from Jerry Turner. Kelsey Anderson and her dad Mark aren't the only Bachelor Nation stars that will pop up in Joan's season of The Golden Bachelorette. The Golden Bachelor's first lead, Jerry Turner, will also appear and have a conversation with Joan. It's not uncommon for familiar faces to offer advice to the new stars, but in this case, it seems that Gary is planting a seed of doubt instead. In a recent The Golden Bachelorette sneak peek, we saw a snippet of Jerry's conversation with Joan, and in it, he wants to know how she'll feel if none of the men who showed up for her turn out to be what she wants. Well, we're hoping that's not the case, as Joan made it clear that she's looking for a successful romance, and not necessarily an engagement when all is said and done, and we want that for her. When The Golden Bachelorette hit TV screens, it promised to bring a fresh take on love and romance for a more mature audience, giving those in their golden years a chance to find love in a format that had traditionally been dominated by a younger crowd. Joan Vassos, the executive producer behind the hit show, was more than just a creative visionary. She became a revolutionary force, especially when it came to the infamous fantasy suite portion of the show. Vassos recognized that this was a delicate, even controversial part of the series, but she was determined to reshape it in a way that not only honored the contestants' journey, but also made it more meaningful for everyone involved. As Joan sits in her spacious office, she reflects on the monumental changes she implemented and the reasoning behind them. Her vibrant personality and passion for television shine through as she recounts her thought process. The fantasy suites have always been a staple of the Bachelor franchise, but when it came to The Golden Bachelorette I knew we had to approach it differently, she explains. This isn't just about a one-night connection or physical intimacy. For many of our contestants, this might be the first time they've considered this level of intimacy in decades. The old fantasy suite format. In the traditional Bachelor and Bachelorette shows, the fantasy suite dates represent a pivotal moment when the final contestants have an opportunity to spend an intimate night together without the cameras rolling. Often, this is the moment that can determine the lead's final decision, allowing them to explore their connection in a deeper, more personal way. However, the fantasy suites have also been the source of much controversy over the years. Critics have argued that it encourages rushed decisions and sometimes even reinforces unhealthy ideals of relationships. For Vassos, applying that same concept to Asterisk, the Golden Bachelorette Asterisk felt like a mismatch from the beginning. I had seen how the fantasy suites worked in the other iterations of the show, but this was different, she says, her eyes narrowing in reflection. We were dealing with contestants who were older, wiser, and often more cautious about intimacy. Many of them had experienced long-term marriages, divorces, or the loss of a spouse. They had already lived full lives, and the stakes felt higher. It wasn't just about the contestants' experiences either. Vassos realized that the audience of Asterisk, the Golden Bachelorette Asterisk, was also different. Our viewers are often in the same stage of life as the contestants. They're not looking for a whirlwind romance that ends after a few weeks. They want to see genuine connections, and they want to see that those connections are based on more than just physical chemistry, Vassos explains. That's when I knew we needed to change the fantasy suites. ### changing the game. So, what did Vassos do? She completely reimagined the concept of the fantasy suite, infusing it with a sense of purpose and depth that would resonate with both the contestants and the audience. Rather than focusing solely on physical intimacy, the new fantasy suites were designed to foster emotional intimacy and deep conversations, and ultimately, to help the contestants build a foundation for a lasting relationship. We wanted to create an environment where the contestants could connect on a truly deep level, Vassos says, smiling as she recalls the early brainstorming sessions. We brought in relationship experts, counselors, and even therapists to help guide the conversations. It wasn't about whether or not they chose to spend the night together. It was about giving them the tools to have those important conversations, about love, commitment, and the future. The physical setting of the fantasy suites also changed. Gone were the luxurious, overly romanticized hotel rooms, replaced instead with more serene and reflective environments. Some suites featured cozy fireplaces and comfortable seating areas, encouraging the couples to relax and talk. Other suites were designed with outdoor spaces, allowing the couples to take long walks under the stars or sit beside a peaceful lake as they shared their hopes and dreams. One of the most important things we did was remove the pressure, Vassos emphasizes. In the past, the fantasy suites often carried this unspoken expectation that the couple would spend the night together. We made it very clear to our contestants that this wasn't the case. The goal was to give them the time and space to connect, whatever that looked like for them. As for her own legacy, Vassos remains humble. At the end of the day, I just want to create shows that resonate with people, she says with a smile. If I can help even one person feel more hopeful about finding love, then I've done my job. With her innovative changes to the Golden Bachelorette, Joan Vassos has undoubtedly left her mark on the franchise. And in doing so, she's shown that love in all its forms can be found at any age, and that it's worth the journey.